got an incredible position at Whole Foods as a senior director, principal of executive recruiting. So I know just as a business executive, you have a lot of influence. People look up to you. They are emulating you. You're there as a resource for them, as kind of a person that should be guiding people in a certain direction in your business life. But what I want to talk about today is just on a personal level. We've all experienced things personally, whether we've gotten laid off or had to lay people off or reductions in salary and a lot of adversity that's been given to us through no choice of our own. What this podcast is about is how people who have been impacted in any way, how they're dealing with that in a positive manner. So Andres, what are some of the things that either you are doing right now, or you've seen other people, whether, business or personal life, what they're doing to make some of those positive shifts?
Yeah. So, let's kind of talk about the reality. And we haven't seen something like this ever in our lifetime. And I grew up in Bogota, Colombia, left in 96, experienced the whole drug war, and those times were pretty drastic down there, and adversity brought opportunity for me to come to the States. Then we experienced the market crash, and but nothing like this ever before. So I think it's okay to give permission to ourselves, to people, to feel to feel sad about this, to feel like these are hard times, but to always keep in perspective that this is going to be over, just as the drug war was over, just as the market crash was over. And companies and people should have long-term strategies, right? 2, 5, 10 years, and take opportunity of the adversity right now to see light, right? I'm reviewing some of the books that I used to read that were very inspiring at the time when I was a little bit lost during some of those times. I don't know if you've read Man's Search for Meaning.
Yes, I have, actually.
Great book to kind of review right now. If you could find meaning in a position where you were about to die in a concentration camp, I think you can find some meaning in the things that we do and maybe take for granted. There's a gentleman by the name Chip Conley. He started a company called Joy de Vie, and then became an advisor for Airbnb, as a couple residents here in Austin and San Francisco. And so Chip wrote a book called Peak, and it talks about how companies can become self-actualized, right? He takes the Maslow pyramid of hierarchy of needs, and that's a good analogy to think about, like focusing on what we need to have minimum right now, right? If you lose your job, okay, what do you have to keep you kind of hopeful, right? Do we have food? Do we have water? Do we have our kids healthy? So by taking little steps, I think you get motivated to then plan ahead and think about what's coming next. I also think that this opportunity provides people with a time to reflect about the previous job, their current job, maybe if they have a job, and understanding if they're truly happy. I came to Whole Foods to find happiness. I was not happy doing consulting, traveling, and thinking that I was very successful. And it took me 10 years to get to Whole Foods because I wanted to find meaning in the work that I did, right? So it's a time to reflect about our current status quo and make the changes that we need to make, because this is going to be over.
Yeah, I find a sense of peace in knowing two things for sure. One is that we're all doing this together, and two, that it's temporary. Like I know those two things, you couldn't convince me otherwise on either one of them. And then what do you do with that, knowing that we're all doing it together and that it's all, that it is temporary? And I love some of the things that you mentioned there on evaluating what your purpose is as a person, and what your values are, and who you are. What is your sense of identity right now? And there's a place that you work currently, or you were working at, maybe if you were laid off, does that align with who you are as a person? Because now might be a good time to make that positive shift and maybe find a better fit, right?
Yeah, and you have to drive your own car. At the end of the day, the only person that cares the most about you is you and your significant others. So do the minimum. I mean, exercise.
Mm.
If you're healthy, you get energy to maybe think about other things. There are so many free resources out there, university courses. I mean, people are kind of opening resources for people to learn and to become better.
Mm.
But you have to be inspired. It's hard to have the energy to think about those things if you're not inspired by something. So what you're doing, Ben, I think is remarkable, because it will inspire people to see the light at the end of the tunnel and to do one little thing, and then it will become a second big thing, and then it would become a career change or something that will change your life for the positive.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that our team was talking about recently, we do weekly personal and professional development calls as a company. And we talked about the building of character during these times. And the video that we were watching and learning from said character is built through these 4 pillars. One is self-discipline. 2 is emotional security. 3 is values and ethics. And 4 is this sense of identity that we were just chatting about. And I thought this character building so relevant right now. You look at self-discipline. What kind of discipline are you exercising, every day? Are you investing in yourself by reading a book, connecting with others? But now is a time where your self-discipline is being tested, right? And thus your character is being tested. And so I think it's harder to have discipline right now, but that's going to be your true test of character. And then your emotional security, we all know that is being significantly tested. Your values and ethics, going back to who you are as a person, what your why is, what your purpose is as a human, as a family unit. What do you believe in, as a family? And then that sense of identity is just, knowing who you are, and whether the virus can't take that away from you, more money can't take it away, less money can't take it away. It just is. And thinking about that, and we were talking about it a little earlier, you've got this group of people that are frozen right now, maybe because they're lacking in some of these areas. Maybe their discipline isn't that great. Maybe they don't know who they are. Maybe they don't have a set of values that are guiding them. They're emotionally distraught. Is there anything personally that when you face adversity, whether if it's right now or if it's in the past, you mentioned kind of the bad economy, or just moving from a whole other country to the US, but when you get faced with adversity, is there anything that you tell yourself? Is there anything that you do or you'd recommend people do to try to get out of that, to talk to some of those people that just are frozen?
Yeah. There is a concept called flow, and I think you're very familiar with it, right? And there's a book, obviously, by the name Flow by Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, or however you pronounce the last name. But it's a very good exercise to do in moments of doubt or in moments of big decisions, because you can make a list of the things that you enjoy and that you love to do, and also a list of the things that maybe you are doing but you're not enjoying, that you're not getting full satisfaction of it. And in looking at that list, right, in just the exercise of doing that list, helps you kind of think about, okay, my focus needs to shift to doing these things that I don't love, that I'm passionate about. If I'm running every day on a treadmill and I'm hating it, maybe I should try the bicycle. Maybe I should try walking the dogs. And it's okay to not just do the things that people tell you that work for them, but you got to do what works for you. We are, as individuals, are unique human beings, and what works for you, Ben, may not work for me. So it's a time of discovery, and a time to be creative, and also a time to take risks, right? I mean, we're not going to get out of this alive. And
Mhm.
I'm thinking about life in general, right? Whether we have this virus or not, at the end of the day, we are not going to get out of this alive. So why not take some risk and do some things that maybe we were afraid of doing? I mean, maybe myself, I would not maybe come on this
Mhm.
podcast with you because I'm
Yeah.
more of an introvert person when it comes to this kind of things. So I'm like, okay, it's fun to do something that would not do otherwise, right?
It's so funny you mentioned that because, and I've talked about this on several episodes of the show, just throwing myself under the bus. I have wanted to do a show like this for at least 5 years. I wrote about it in my journal, I've written it in my notes, and for 5 years I've put it off for one reason or the other. I'm too busy, or I don't know how the technology works, and then it took this virus coming to actually make it happen. And now I'm going to continue it even post COVID-19. Now it actually did it.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of us have an opportunity right now to take an inventory of some of those things that we've been putting off, some of the things that we said we were too busy for, whether in business or personal life. Like, what a great opportunity we have in a moment to be grateful that we have the time to pursue a lot of those things that we didn't before for whatever reason.
Yeah, and it's time, but it's focused time, right? I mean, you
Mm.
may have time, but being focused just because you don't have a lot of distractions that you can't just go to your friends on a Friday afternoon or Friday night, it's priceless,
Mm.
and that focus, if it's shifted towards the right effort, not on playing video games the whole day, but if it's
Mhm.
shifted to learning something valuable or trying something that's new and that will give you something, it's what's going to make the difference.
Yeah. So I want to end our conversation last several minutes on gratitude. You strike me as a person that it probably has an enormous sense of gratitude for various things in your life. I mean, just even having the opportunity to be here in the U.S. and probably seeking a better situation than where you were before. Um, how are you finding the gratitude right now? Like, what are you grateful for? Has anything new popped up that you're grateful for that you forgot about? Maybe you took for granted, but now you're rediscovering. Um, when you do have this additional time.
Yeah, oof, that kind of touches the core, the emotional core there. So yeah, I mean, my parents are far away, and sometimes the routine kind of gets in the way, and you don't take the time to call. I got nephews that live in Nebraska, and I've talked to them, but now that I talk to them every day, I learn things about them and about my parents that I didn't know, and it's crazy how the time goes by so fast, right? And I'm so grateful to have people in my life that care about me, right? With
Mhm.
my wife too, and kind of understanding what she does and understanding how she works, and being grateful for having someone that that cares about you. And obviously, needless to say, the line of work that we do, being in the grocery business right now, it's very gratifying, rewarding. We have other problems that other companies don't have, but to feel, and I say this from my desk, but the heroes are really at the stores, right? Those team members that are in the front lines, and to feel that you're a part of a company that is trying to do as much as we can to help with the situation. It makes me feel, very grateful. We definitely have a tough time, but there are so many good things that I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for my body, grateful for being able to wake up in the morning and be safe. Those little things that maybe you didn't realize before now just kind of are in front of you, like very clearly.
Yeah, that you didn't even see before. If you're walking in the neighborhood, you didn't notice the 150-year-old tree, and you've lived
Yeah.
there for 10 years, right?
Moon. I was looking at the moon this morning, and I'm like, what? Why don't I do this every morning? This is
Yeah.
so beautiful, and it's simple things that make life better, whether we have the virus or not. Those are the things that you know um, are really inspiring and will get you through anything.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, I love Whole Foods, and I love Amazon. I shop at both of those every week or multiple times a week. So I love the stuff that you guys are doing over there. I'm glad that both of those businesses are open right now and serving the community in so many ways. We could talk for hours about all of the work that Whole Foods is doing and Amazon is doing above and beyond what their core business is. And so I do find that peace in knowing that we are all doing it together. It's temporary, and that we've got people like you out there as leaders that are putting out positive vibes and positive energy. And I hope that people that are listening know that you can choose to move in that direction for your benefit and for your families and ultimately everyone's around you. So thank you, Andres. Thank you for.
Thank you, Ben. Yeah, we'll get to meet each other sooner than later. I'm gonna send you a link with some resources that I put together.
Okay.
So if someone is curious about, kind of what I do, and maybe learning more about how is the best way to, land a job at Whole Foods or prepare a resume, and little tips that I have that are probably different than what most I've seen out there. That resource is out there now.
That'd be great. Send that to me as soon as you can, and we'll get that posted along with the episode.
All right, Ben.
Okay, my friend. Stay safe. Thank you very much.
All right.
All right.